All right, it's officially day one of the Jennie and Larry show. We're still missing our buddy Gary. We'll see him in a few days, hopefully. Gary Morgan, we love you. All right, we'll start it out that way. But Steve Earle, country music singer, has a song called "And the Rain Came Down," and the rain came down on day one. It was pouring buckets. Not only cats and dogs, but salmon. There was a lot of water out there.
There was. I mean, you could actually see it dancing up on the circles where they do the throws, and it was just like it was raining up there, I think.
The amazing thing was the day started out with the men's decathlon, and Ashton Eaton decided to really do a show. In the 100 meters, he ran 10.21, his personal best, a world record for the decathlon 100 meters. That means no one in the 110-year history of the decathlon has ever run faster. Then he comes back in the long jump and goes 8:32 for you metric weenies, which means 27 feet for us people in the U.S. who don't know metric. Again, his personal best, another world record. The guy was flying. And behind him were Trey Hardee, who was the world champion last year, and Bryan, who was a 2004 bronze medalist and 2008 gold medalist in the decathlon. So there was some real deck royalty here. And
here's how to put that 27 feet into perspective. During the preliminaries of the long jump, where the guys are only doing one event, the long jump, the best jump was 26 feet and change.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. I mean, and the thing is our friend Ashton could compete in the long jump and make it, and he'd do pretty darn good in the hurdles as well. Actually, the hurdles is probably his best event, but that's the nature of a multi-guy. Ashton is coached by Harry Mara, who with Fred Samara at Princeton are probably the two top decathlon coaches in the country. They were actually the guys who helped found the Visa Decathlon program back in 1990. For Harry, who is a friend from SF State and who's coached all over the country, it's a labor of love. He loves the decathlon. He's helped really make Ashton a student of the sport, and Ashton is a total star. And we'll tell you more about what he did on day two.
Well, really the finals on the first day were the 10,000 meter races for the men first and then the women, and boy did they put up with some rain. But there were some surprisingly similar results in both races.
Yeah, the men's 10,000 was probably one of the best U.S. men's races ever. Here's what we know about the 10,000 now. Galen Rupp is in a position to be at the very least in the top 6 in London, and I'm going to pick him for a medal. Less than 6 weeks ago, he ran a 3:34 for the 1,500 meters. And last night, he just toyed with the field. He actually went through in 13:56 halfway, helping his training partner, Dathan Ritzenhein, looking for that A standard. I had followed Dathan over to Hengelo 3 weeks ago, where he ran 27:50 running by himself. Well, last night, it was Dathan, it was Galen, and Matt Tegenkamp, who was 4th back in Osaka in the 5,000 meters. And they broke away after halfway, and it came down to the last 3 laps. And when Galen took off, he was flying. He ended up running 27:25:33, a new Olympic trials record. In second place and third place, Tegenkamp and Dathan stayed together until probably about the last 300, and then Teagues, who's got some wheels, took off. He ran 27:33:94 for second, and in 27:36:09 was our friend Dathan. This is why that's special, because Jennie and I watched him virtually with tears in our eyes finish 4th in the marathon trials back in January 15th. Really redemptive race for him.
Well, it was, and you talked about watching him rather recently. I've been watching him since high school, and he's a very graceful runner, and he was so disappointed in Houston. The disappointment just reached all the way to Michigan. It was amazing, and it was really sad. It was his personal best in the marathon besides, but so what happened was they worked together. He got the standard, and at the press conference afterwards, when asked which of his 3 Olympic games was the best, he said this one.
Yeah, no, Dathan is in the form of his life. Galen's probably got 4 more years before he gets there, but I'll tell you right now, Galen with his other training partner, Mo Farah, they're going to shake some things up in London.
Well, Matt Tegenkamp is a pretty interesting guy, too. He came from Missouri, and he went to college at Wisconsin, and he really specialized in the 5,000 and swore he'd never go higher, but look what happened.
Well, Jerry Schumacher, his coach, is an amazing basically able to convince his athletes to move around in events. And as Matt said last night after he won his medal, I'm getting to be an old guy, so he had to move up to the 10. But an old guy, I think he's 31 or 32, and I think he and his wife are expecting their first. We wish him the very best. The guys' team is fabulous, and it was a very, very exciting race. There were 11 men under 28 minutes, which I think is some kind of record, but my geek hat's not on right now, so I can't tell you. Sorry.
And the future of the 10K was in that race, too. I saw a few people. We're going to see more of Jake Riley, and we're going to see more of Ben True.
Ben True, Chris Derrick, 27:40, and Aaron Braun with McMillan Elite. I think that improvement was like 40 seconds for him, 42 seconds. It was Dynamo Hum, which is the best that I can say about stuff. But that men's 10,000 was exciting. And the women's 10,000 was, for different reasons, was really a lot of fun to watch, too.
Well, it was. Everybody kind of expected Shalane to lead and to win, but that's not what happened.
Amy Hastings, who was the 4th woman in the Olympic Trials Marathon and who has seen so many pictures of herself crying, had something to smile about. She was up in a pack with Shalane Flanagan and Natosha Rogers, who was the NCAA 10,000-meter champion. Amy took them through about 16:30, and they ran the second half in 15:28. So they were flying. With about 300 to go, Natosha Rogers went by both Shalane and Amy, and then Shalane went by Amy, and we're kind of going, what's going on here? With 150 to go, Amy just started lifting her knees and pumping her arms and sprinted furiously. It's the only word that I can use, and she won. And
she had a furious look on her face, too.
She wanted it bad. She ran 31:58.88. Second place was 31:59.06. That was Natosha Rogers. And then Shalane Flanagan, 2 days after a 26-mile run, also broke 32 minutes. Shalane's not going to be running. I think Lisa Uhl, who was 4th, who was the Iowa State grad, and I'm forgetting her maiden name, and I apologize. But it was a great 10,000. Amy Hastings is a tough athlete. She's only run a few marathons. She is a fantastic 10,000-meter runner and a 5,000-meter runner. I hope she stays with those for a while and then moves up to the marathon. But and this Natosha Rogers, she's a tough young woman.
Somebody to watch, but she's not going because she didn't have the standard. On the other hand, who is going is Janet Bawcom, who is a relatively recent U.S. citizen. She won the national championship at the Riverbank Run 25K recently. So she's spending a lot of time on the roads, but she's got wheels and she's got the standard, and she is going to be on the Olympic team.
Here's the thing about Janet. She's fascinating. Earlier in the spring, she won the half marathon in in the fall half marathon in Boston one day. Comes back the next day and wins the Tufts 10K. Think about that kind of double, sports fans. You know, that's a crazy one. That woman's got some wheels. If she actually focuses and does some things, she can be dangerous. Also, during the 10, if you watch it on NBC, the Olympic sponsor, we're trying to get that plug in, Janet was out in lane 3 or 4 almost the entire race. Any coach would tell you, dear God, get out of lane 3 or 4, get into lane 1 or 2. That's not what she did. So she's a real neophyte. I think she's got some real wheels, and we'll see what she does in the future.
Well, it's going to be fun to watch, and those were the only finals we had on day 1. You would expect that because we had many, many heats of many other events. And stay tuned for day 2. That's it for the Jennie and Larry Show today.
Gary, we miss you.